Hey guys, it's Juan for JuanSource.com, and I'm back after a long hiatus of being away from commentaries for a while. But the reason I'm back is because I want to start doing more live casting. So I'm going to be out in LA this weekend for to cast the Land Champ tournament. So what I want to do this week then is to do commentaries on all the teams competing at Land Champ this weekend. So this first commentary is going to be on Blight. I'll do one on TLR, one on Zomblers, and one on Dynamic. So this is going to be on Blight, and the reason I'm doing this is basically just to refamiliarize myself with the players, on the teams, the games, and just kind of get back in the groove of commentating so I don't totally suck this weekend. So that's the plan. We'll see how well it works. I'm not anticipating too much, but I guess we'll see. So yeah, so this is going to be these are all going to be from the Land Champ qualifier. So this is an Elite 8 match, SP versus Blight. So I'm very familiar with these players: Anger, Nikon, War Machine, Mustang, and Knight. And so these guys, they took second at Land Champ in Chicago last weekend. So I'm going to go ahead and focus mainly on their point of view for this. So yeah, let's get into it. So first you'll notice here that they're picking the CT side cross. Now I would definitely recommend this as CT side. So this is good. I mean, you're going to win this battle a lot of the time. If you have 2 or 3 guys just taking a couple shots here, I can't tell you how many times I would get hit as a T side trying to pick this. So you're going to win that battle most of the time as a CT side. So Blight is then moving into a pretty standard setup here. So you'll see what they're doing is using their distance, which is a good idea. So they're spotting, Anger spotting the corner at long, War Machine is spotting into B tunnel, and they have spotting in middle. So Blight is playing very good here. Doing a good job of crossfiring the middle, which is a good idea on pissed around. You have a pretty good idea then of where they're going to go on T side. You can listen for them. See, Nick is spotting for them to go up cat, and then once he sees them go up cat, he's going to make an adjustment. So he plays kind of in the CT spawn here, meanwhile maintaining that crossfire. So he can always assist to help the middle. Meanwhile, I can always assist cat. So what SP is doing here is they're throwing a slight fake up cat, and then they're going to drop and hit up middle. So I'm going to talk about their cat fake quite a bit in this half, but let's just go ahead and watch how this plays out. So they throw their one flash. However, Blight has a good set. They have this good crossfire set up here, and there's really I mean, not a whole lot you could have done about that as a T side. Nick had great positioning there for counter flashing. And someone's gonna have to explain this to me because I don't get this. Why people buy dualies now? Is that a popular thing now? I don't know. I've been out of the loop for so long, but I don't know if it works for people, then I guess go for it. But yeah, so that was pretty standard. So let's go ahead and talk about. I want to talk about this catwalk boost here. So you'll see that the person boosting, Anger, is on the right side of the box. So I'll show you, he doesn't do it here, but in the later rounds what you want to do is get on the left side of the box. It just allows for someone to get up to catwalk faster, and you have another step on the people that rush up catwalk. So another thing that I'm going to be talking about a lot this half is SP's wasted eco round. So basically what they did is they just rushed into B, and with Glocks, and they did that, I mean, pretty much every time they had an eco. It seemed like they just wanted to waste it. Again, they're going to be on an eco here, and again they're going to do kind of a quick rush. And so what they do is they buy deagles here, and this is something that I find questionable. So a lot of times people will buy deagles and rush. I think that's completely opposite of what you want to do when you buy deagles. You want to rush with Glocks. Glocks are good close range. When you buy a deagle, it's not much better than a Glock close range, but it is much better than a Glock long distance. So what you want to do is when you buy deagles like this, is you want to just spread out all of your guys try to create 1v1 situations and try to just get headshots with those deagles on people that have MP5s, because you're gonna have the advantage a lot of times versus those MP5s. So just try to create long distance situations. If you're rushing like they do here, you're taking away the advantage that you have with the deagle. Not to mention what they did was just completely predictable. I mean, you can hear them running down the stairs the entire time. I mean, you can predict that so easily. You know, and Blight just did that there. They had pre-nades ready for him, flashes. They just mowed them down as they came out. So I mean, I think that's a waste of deagles and a waste of eco round. So lesson there is spread out and use space and use the whole round. Don't try to rush anywhere when you have deagles. I mean, very rarely is that a good idea. So I want to talk about the way that Blight plays Catwalk here. So this is kind of interesting. So they play aggressive on Cat here. So generally when you play aggressive on Cat, what you want to be doing is having support from middle. So I'm going to pause here. So you have two guys playing up on Cat. Their setup is questionable, but I think they're trying to boost on the box. But if you're doing that, what you want is your middle guy. You see Nikon and War Machine R&B. This middle guy really should be in middle playing around the double doors, because what's going to happen here is, so the Cat guys are going to draw all the attention to them. So everybody's going to be looking at the Catwalk guys. What could happen right here is that middle guy could peek on those lower tunnel terrorists and just get really easy kills on him, but he's not there, so they can't really apply pressure there. I mean, even an Opera works good in that spot too, but since he wasn't there, they weren't able to get much out of that. So what they do then is they drop back to a setup here where Anger's at the pots and Mustang is playing up aggressive on Cat. Now this setup is okay, but it puts a lot of pressure on Anger here, especially if he's forced to watch long like that. So if they're doing that, they need someone to be watching long a little bit more aggressively, otherwise Anger's just going to get shot. So they got kind of lucky there, but on top of that, I mean, this isn't even great to begin with to watch Cat. So Mustang, it puts a lot of pressure on both players. If one player dies, the other player is almost immediately going to die after. So what they have going on here is okay if Mustang doesn't peek as much, if Anger just kind of baits them to him and they both peek at the same time, but usually that's not the case. When I was on 3D, Method and I used to use double smokes here and random pushes that would help, but just sitting here is kind of being a sitting target. Now Mustang does get one kill, and if they can keep that up, it's pretty good. But once they realized Anger was there, they just got a kill on him without Mustang even peeking on him. So like I said, one falls, the other is inevitably going to fall, and that's what happened there. SP is in a really good situation, but they're playing almost too aggressive post plant here. They need to probably not be playing Cat, since they have it planted for long. There's no reason to be playing Cat then. So they need to either they need to get out of there. They need to drop back and play either on the rail and have the rest of the guys drop back to long. But that didn't happen there, so it gave Blight the opportunity to get back in the round. Now, War Machine's, or Nick threw a smoke right by the bomb. It should have been further to the right. Because it wasn't, P1 was able to pick him because the smoke wasn't fully covering the site. Nick gets the trade, but it's not going to be enough not enough time to win the round. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about long spawns too. They have a good long spawn here to rush long, but doesn't look like they take it. They do take it later in the half, which we'll talk about later on. So Blight makes the change from playing away from Cat. Instead, they start playing long, which, you know, if it didn't work, that's not a bad idea. And so they have a pretty interesting setup here. They're not opping middle. So normally Nick would op middle. Maybe he just didn't have money for it. But because he's not opping middle, it kind of gives SP free reign on moving up Cat, being very versatile in the middle, being able to throw a lot of fakes because they don't have a clean view on middle. SP is being very passive outside of B tunnel here, which may be a good idea early on if they anticipated pushes from Blight, but that's not the case here. So these guys are playing up aggressive on long, and I like this setup here, but that just means that you know, there's a lot of pressure on Catwalk for Nick to hold that. So I'm going to talk about a smoke that Nick uses here, and he does a really good job of holding this by himself. And I don't know how widely this is known, but so he does a good job of delaying them, and that's a common recurrence throughout the half, how long SP takes. So if you look on the radar, there's 4 guys just kind of bunched up there, and they've been there for a good 20 seconds, and there's only 27 seconds left in the round. So it's becoming pretty obvious that they're taking Cat. So Blight can then over-rotate and be very confident that they're going to take into A. So this is a great smoke for Nick because he can see them clearly as they come into the site. He can get a lot of headshots, and had he hit his shots a little bit better here, it would have been a lot easier. But they weren't able to see him, and he was able to see them. So that's a great smoke, and I encourage people to use that. As for this retake here, this is a great retake. So even though all the SP guys are pretty low, they do a great job here. So it's one flash, and then they all coordinate this. So they all go. And War Machine was on the flank because they knew they were coming up Cat, and they all just converged on the site at one time. So that's a great retake to do there. So take note of how they did that. So I would expect SP to be saving here, and again, I think they're just going to kind of throw this round away. So let's see, that's a flash. Oh, I want to point out a mistake I think that Nikon makes here. So he's just playing outside the site. He's not really playing with War Machine. And so the flash he throws, first off, I think it blinds War Machine, but second, he throws 2 of them. So I'm pretty sure that blinds War Machine, and it also blinds him a little bit. And he also threw 2 of them. I think he probably should have only thrown 1 there. There really was no reason for 2. Just throw 1 and get in there right away. That's too much time for the guy in B to be by himself. And you're giving too much time for the terrorist to get into the site and get into position. So you saw when Nikon peeked there was already a guy in the closet. There was already a guy like right up on him by the car. There were already guys up by War Machine. So he gave the guys too much time to get in position and scatter throughout the site before he peeked. You need to get them when they're coming through that tunnel entrance. That's when they're most vulnerable. And you need to be peeking with your other player, not at separate times. So one flash, and then peek them together with your other player and just spray them down when they come in the site. So even though Blight won that round, SP still got 4 kills on an eco, which is very good. So it wasn't a very good round for Blight. So that's not a good smoke. You need to be throwing that smoke much better than that. Also, you might want to have your A guys smoke it. I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. It looks like SP is ecoing again, which confuses me. I figured they would have enough money now, but I mean, look what just happened. The guys were already in. I mean, that's just terrible timing. The other guys were already in B, and the guys are still coming up middle. So they isolated one side. And the other guys still weren't even out. So I mean, that was just a horribly executed strat. So let's see. Okay, so they're attempting a long rush. Again, I would really only attempt this if the guys are playing. If the CT side is playing long, I would really only attempt a long rush when you have the best possible spawns. That was a little different back in the day when you could bunny hop, but that's not the case anymore. But even so, if you have the best possible spawns and they're not opping middle, I would rather rush Cat than rush long. I think it's a much easier way to get up than long. And long they're just going to double nade you and flash you. And I can show you again what they did. They pre-naded and pre-flash on that previous round, and you're just not going to be able to do much there from a T side perspective. So let's see. So it's down to a 2 versus 4, and SP does a nice job of being very decisive here and just quickly making a move at the disadvantage and trying to create and make something happen. So War Machine peeked by himself there. I'm not sure if he knew they were on the site, but it caused a little bit of problems there. So now it's down to a 2 versus 1, and these guys need to take the site and peek together. Now, I don't think they were expecting Easy PK to peek there, and that was just, I mean, there's not much you can do about that. That was just unlucky and good play by Easy PK by being aggressive in disadvantaged situations. So this is the spawn I was talking about. In this scenario, I might want to try to rush Cat since Blight is not opping or pre-nading like the palm tree. But it looks like SP is going to have to save again. So they've what? Oh no, they're not saving. But I will mention, look on the radar. All 5 players are on one side of the map, and rarely is this a good idea. You're just giving up way too much map control. So if you do this, you have to execute very quickly, which they are doing relatively quickly. But once they get to this point, they just kind of stop. See how they all stop, they all turn away. You need to figure out ways that you don't do that. So you either run up the catwalk backwards, or I don't know, you know, run while you're blind or something. But I mean, look at how fast Blight rotated. There's 4 guys at A. I mean, it's just so blatantly obvious that you're going soon to be 5. So it's just so blatantly obvious where they're going. When you go to all one side like that, when you don't have any presence on any other part of the map, and I mean, it's just, they're just getting mowed down now. So I mean, they made quick work of them. So SP ecoing again. So with this is their fifth eco out of 9 rounds. So it's either poor money management with those Eagles or something, but they're not doing a good job of managing their money. And again, they're just throwing away eco rounds. I mean, you can they bought Deagle and they just rush. You know, there's a lot better things you can do in that situation. So, but it looks like they are buying a lot of ops, so that's probably why they're broke. So I like this strat a lot. So I'll point this out with TCK. Just used a lot of his nades long. And they're going to do a quick mid-B split. So what that did is it drew the attention of these long guys. So these long guys are camping out. You'll see Mustang is right here and Anger is right here. A lot of times that would also draw this third player, Nick. And no, it didn't draw him that time, but a lot of times that would. And regardless, they still did a good job of holding those guys at long and coming out. That was a good smoke because they were able to get the trade. And it also blocked long arbors, and they did a much better job this time with timing their split. So you see that guy came through the window as War Machine was defending the guys coming into B. So that was perfect timing on SP's part this time versus the last time that they did a mid B split. So they're able to get in the site. They have good post plant spots for the most part. Yeah, definitely pretty good. So I mean, they're not gonna do this wrong. Maybe if Mustang hit that shot, then it would have been possible, but so let's see. Yeah, watch what Nikon or what War Machine does here. So I don't understand this. I take that back. So there's another round that I'll show you where he does that. But he did a much better job of getting his smoke down in the right position. And do not double smoke that. Only single smoke it. There's no reason to have 2 smokes there. Not only does it block you out, but it's just a waste of a smoke. Your smokes are so crucial in holding B. And I'm going to go into this in depth later. But the idea is to layer your smokes from both sides. So you want to layer your nades from CT side, from T side. I think there's a lot of creativity you can do, a lot of creative strats you can run. I mean, from T side by layering your smokes in the B tunnel, because it's such a one-way smoke that when you do it as a T side, the counter-terrorist player is almost forced to use his smoke as well in order to defend it. So I'll talk about that later, ways that you can layer that and ways you can be creative with your smokes at that B tunnel. So sorry, I've kind of lost track of what's happening here. So looks like they're kind of split in taking A. So this is kind of interesting. One guy is kind of taking into the site by himself and baiting out all the nades and flashes. Well, you have one guy slightly trailing, and well, okay, 3 guys trailing, but all at kind of different intervals. So it's kind of interesting. But they're still kind of set up to do trades here. So TCK takes into the site and he gets killed. But he has people trailing him that are going to be able to get trades from different angles. So now they're not flashed, and they were able to bait out all the nades from those players, and they were basically able to get in the site without too much attention on them. So now they have 3 guys in the site. It's still kind of a difficult situation for them because they still have to get the bomb. Oh, I take that back. That's not difficult at all. It was a 1 versus 3. I thought more guys were remaining, but. So yeah, this is the long spawn I would take. I would drop and rush cat, but your best spawner has an op. So and it turns out you're doing a pretty good job of taking up cat later in the round. Blight is playing pretty predictable in their setups. They're almost always playing 2B, 2 long, and 1 rotator. So they may want to do something to switch that up, and they do that here with a little bit of a change in pace on their eco. However, they aren't. They just missed a lot of shots there. They could have maybe got that guy there by himself. Anger pushed through Cat, and Mustang for some reason decided not to go with him, baiting as usual. But had he gone with him, they probably could have got that trade on the guy at that killed Anger at long. But that eco, I mean, they did some interesting things there, interesting pushes, but it didn't turn out very well for them. So yeah, let me talk about this. So this is what I don't get. This is what I was talking about. So you throw a smoke down, but then you run in front of it. So, I mean, if you throw a smoke down there, that smoke is very valuable. You want to be running behind it. I mean, I understand the logic behind it, that you're crossing at different angles, but the smoke just, I mean, it does too much to block where you are. So if you throw a smoke down, I don't see reason to run in front of it. You're going to get hit too often by running in front of it. I'm sorry, I didn't catch what happened there. It looked like just a flash came in. I think they used a smoke at the entrance then and just kind of plowed through it randomly. I mean, that's a good tactic to use. I'll talk about that more later of how to kind of use your smokes there at that tunnel entrance. But SP, they're set up good post plant spots. Yeah, I don't blame Blight for saving here for the last round. So again, let me show you Washington's perspective. So again, he runs in front of it, and watch what he does here. I mean, he just, I don't like this right here. He just uses all his nades at once, and there's really no reason to. Well, because he doesn't hear him. First off, there's nowhere even near him on the radar, and he can't hear them. And now he has no defense for when they come later in the round. He has no nades left. All he has is a single FAMAS. So it's going to be very difficult for him to hold. I mean, he's just going to have to rely completely on his gun. As for SP here, so I like the strategy they use here. So they know that Blight has been playing back on Cat, that they've been playing at long. So what they do is they get up pretty aggressively on it, and then they use the passiveness of Blight to throw a good fake here. So watch what TCK does. He's going to throw 2 flashes and push these guys off, push the opera off, and then actually commit to the site, which is good. He drops spawn. That's not always the best move, but it works out for him here. Sometimes you might just want to go up to the quad box and stay there, but it separates the guys, and it makes for perfect isolation of the guys in the middle. So what happened there was he threw the fake, his teammates dropped back and hit through middle, and I think one or two came up through tunnel, which is definitely a great way to punish the passiveness of Blight there. So 3 vs 3, bombs taken down, and the guys just jumped through the window. They were posted up on it. They didn't have any tunnel presence, so yeah, SP did my hats off to them for that last round. That was a great strat that they ran. So that's going to be it for the first half. Give me a second here, and I will load up the second half. Okay, so apparently I didn't know that the second half of that match was 4 vs 5. So I'm going to go ahead and not bother talking about that too much, because yeah, it'd be a waste of yours and my time. So instead, what I want to talk about briefly then is what I was talking about at B early on about layering your smokes. So the idea is that let me talk about it from a T-side perspective first. So the idea is you would send 2 to 3 guys into B tunnels at the beginning of the round. Okay. So normally, a lot of people do this. They'll throw a smoke at the entrance, okay, and then I'll puff up, and then they'll work into that smoke. Okay, I know a lot of players that work into this smoke because it's a one-way smoke, right? But the way to defend that is relatively easy. So from a CT side perspective, what you do is when you see that smoke, you either smoke into that smoke, or you nade in that smoke, or you do both, okay, or you spam into that smoke, okay. So it's difficult from a CT side perspective, but it's possible to defend, okay? So what I'm proposing then from a T side perspective is what you do is you do that same thing, but you do it 2 or 3 times in a round, and you pick one of those times that you actually go. So maybe the first time you single smoke it and then you go, or you throw 1 smoke and then you go after it. But maybe a couple rounds later, what you could do is send 3 guys here, is you throw 1 smoke and then just sit back. Don't go into it because you'll probably get naded. Maybe send the other 2 guys, throw your smoke, maybe send the guy who threw the smoke lower, and then once the smoke's up, hopefully you wasted the CT player's smokes and nades, and then you smoke it again. Okay, so the idea is to keep this smoked the entire round, so that there's no way for the CT to easily predict when you're coming. So that way, you know, on like the 3rd smoke you can go, the guy's going to be completely out of smokes. You can walk in and basically just, you know, one-shot them while you're able to see them and they're not able to see you. So this is a very important concept of this one-way smoke here, layering your smokes on both T and CD side. So I hope that makes sense. I talked a lot about it on in the first half. I apologize for not doing the second half, but it would just be worthless for 4 vs 5. So I want to tomorrow do a commentary on another team from the tournament. So the 4 teams are Blight, Zomblers, TLR, and Dynamic. So I'll probably do Dynamic tomorrow, and then TLR, what day is today? TLR and Zomblers later in the week. So well, I hope you guys enjoyed my return back to commentator status, and check out LAN Champ this weekend, so it should be a good time. So we'll see you guys next time.